When fans go too far, the most terrifying stalker stories in Hollywood. Fame. From the outside, it looks like a dream: glamour, luxury, red carpets, and flashing cameras. The spotlight shines brightly, and the world applauds. Celebrities are admired, adored, and idolized. But behind the cameras, behind the smiles and designer outfits, there is a darker, more frightening truth. For some stars, fame does not just bring fans, it brings hunters. Obsession. Delusion. Fear. And when admiration crosses the line, the consequences turn chilling. These are the stories the gossip press does not always tell. Stories of stars whose lives were changed forever by people who claimed to love them. Today, we step into the shadows of fame and uncover some of the creepiest and most disturbing celebrity stalker stories of all time. This is not just about fame. It is about survival. The thin line between admiration and obsession. It often begins harmlessly. A fan writes a letter, posts a comment online, waits for a brief meeting after a concert. But sometimes that harmless admiration takes a dark turn. Psychologists call it celebrity worship syndrome, a condition in which someone becomes so emotionally entangled with a famous person that fantasy and reality begin to blur. To these people, the celebrity is not just someone on a screen, they become a personal obsession. For the stars at the center of that fixation, life quickly becomes a psychological war zone. They receive unwanted gifts, threatening letters, or eerie voicemails. Some are followed. Others are harassed. Some are attacked. What starts as fandom spirals into fixation. And in some cases, violence. The intruder in Jennifer Lopez's pool house. Jennifer Lopez was at the height of her career in the early 2000s when she experienced a nightmare no amount of fame can prevent. A man named John Dubas did not just stalk her from afar, he literally stepped into her life. He broke into her Hamptons property and lived there undetected for 6 full days. He slept in her bed. He used her Wi-Fi. He even took selfies and posted them online. The most disturbing part: J. Lo and her children were not even home. The house was empty. And yet the man, who believed he was divinely connected to her, moved through her most private spaces as if he belonged there. He was convinced she was sending him messages through the media. That they were soulmates. That this was not trespassing, it was destiny. For Jennifer, however, it was a chilling violation of safety. Proof that for celebrities, not even home is sacred. Sandra Bullock's silent nightmare. Sandra Bullock is known for her calm, her composure. But in 2014, her world shattered. That night, she woke up to noises inside her house. She hid in a closet and whispered to 911 while a man, Joshua Corbett, walked through her home. When police arrived, they found a notebook filled with disturbing letters and fantasies. One read, "You are my wife by law, by the law of God. You belong to me." He did not want to meet her. He wanted to own her. And he had crossed every imaginable boundary trying to make that happen. The fear did not end when police took him away. It stayed. In every creak of the floorboards. In every shadow at night. For Sandra, her home became a constant reminder that even locked doors do not always protect you. When social media becomes a weapon. Today, stalkers do not need to break into a house to reach their target. A single click can be enough. Just ask Taylor Swift. She has been stalked multiple times, online and in real life. One man broke into her home, showered, and then got into her bed. Another claimed to be telepathically connected to her. In 2018, she received messages from a man threatening to rape and kill her. When he was arrested, police found more than 1,000 rounds of ammunition in his possession. Taylor responded by hiring full-time security and increasing protection around her homes. But emotional safety is harder to defend. "You can't just shake it off," she later said. "It is a constant threat." Rebecca Schaeffer, the tragedy that changed Hollywood law. Perhaps no case is more shocking, or more tragic, than that of Rebecca Schaeffer. In the late 1980s, she was a rising star. Beautiful, talented, and full of potential. She starred in a successful sitcom and appeared to be on the verge of a major film career. Then her life came to a deadly end because of a man named Robert John Bardo. He had obsessively worshipped her for years. When he saw her in a romantic scene in a film, his infatuation turned into rage. He obtained her address through the Department of Motor Vehicles and showed up at her front door. Rebecca greeted him kindly, believing he was an ordinary fan. But an hour later he came back, with a gun. He shot her in the chest. At just 21 years old, her life was over. Her death shocked Hollywood. It led to the first anti-stalking laws in California and major changes in celebrity privacy protections. But for Rebecca, those laws came too late. The invisible threat that haunted Robin Williams. Robin Williams made millions laugh. But behind the jokes and warm smile, he lived with fear. A woman stalked him for years, convinced they were spiritual partners. She sent hundreds of letters, followed him across the country, and even appeared uninvited in his hotel rooms. The turning point came when she broke into his home in Napa Valley. Security intervened before she reached him, but the psychological damage remained. Robin never spoke publicly about it. But friends said he often changed plans at the last minute, canceled appearances, and altered travel arrangements to stay one step ahead of those following him. When fans become deadly. Selena Gomez, Ariana Grande, and Justin Bieber are global superstars. All of them have been targeted by people who once claimed to love them. In 2011, Gomez received threatening messages from a man who believed God had commanded him to kill her. She obtained multiple restraining orders, hired bodyguards, and eventually traveled only with private security. Ariana Grande had less luck. Her stalker did not break into her house once, but multiple times. On one occasion, he threatened her security team with a knife. And in Justin Bieber's case, police uncovered a plan so disturbing it sounded like a thriller. A former inmate planned to kidnap, castrate, and kill him. Stalkers in disguise. Sometimes stalkers disguise themselves. They pose as delivery drivers. They pretend to be assistants. One woman even tried to convince herself, and others, that she was Keanu Reeves's wife. She repeatedly entered his property. On one occasion, while he was away, she broke in, undressed, took a bath, and swam in his pool. Keanu's kindness is legendary, but no one is safe from intrusion. When the law is not enough. One of the bitterest realities for celebrities is that stalking laws often fail them. In many places, authorities can only act once there is a credible threat. That means someone can send dozens of messages, wait outside a house, or even break in, and still avoid arrest as long as the victim cannot fully prove the danger. The legal system reacts instead of preventing. And that delay can cost lives. The stalker you cannot see, Britney Spears' conservatorship. Sometimes the stalker does not come from outside. Sometimes it is already inside the person's life. For more than a decade, Britney Spears lived under a conservatorship that gave her father and a legal team control over her career, finances, and even personal contacts. Her phone was monitored. Her text messages were controlled. Every move was documented. She was not just watched, she was controlled. This was not romantic obsession. It was business. Institutional. Legalized surveillance disguised as protection. The emotional aftermath. Being stalked is not only a physical threat. It is psychological warfare. Many celebrities suffer long-term from anxiety, depression, or PTSD. Some never go out alone again. Others move constantly to avoid being found. Billie Eilish experienced repeated stalking incidents at her parents' house. She later installed bulletproof glass and obtained multiple restraining orders. "It makes you feel weak," she said. "Like you're nowhere safe." Even Kylie Jenner, one of the most heavily protected celebrities in the world, broke down in tears on her reality show. She admitted she fears being alone with her daughter because money and walls do not always protect you. The real price of fame. Fame looks like freedom. But for many people, it becomes a prison. The spotlight does not just shine, it exposes. And the same attention that brings admiration also invites obsession. Stalkers are not always dramatic villains. Often they are quiet, calculating, and dangerously convinced that their fantasy is real. They blur the line between fan and predator. Fame may open doors, but it also opens windows. And too many people feel entitled to climb in.